Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be making this custom CNC bit tool drawer which holds all my CNC bits, holds my spanners, calipers, keyboard and mouse for the computer, Z-probe, and we're going to be doing that in Fusion 360. Alright, so we're going to start with our drawer. So we need to make a new sketch, go on the bottom plane, and we're going to make a rectangle, and I know it needs to be 780 wide. Hit the tab key and 600 from front to back. Bring that over a bit and we can zoom out and finish the sketch. Now I'm just going to rotate this just a little bit. Oh, to be towards the front. We're going to extrude that to 36mm because I'm going to be using two 18mm thick MDF panels glued together to make my entire drawer. Hit enter on that one. Now we can create a new sketch and select the top of the drawer. And this is where we're going to start designing what we want in our drawer. Now you can make this exactly however you want. I just know how I want my layout to be. And I know that I want pockets to hold all of my CNC bits still in their cases. And I have normal sizes, and then I've got some longer ones, which are the same size as the smaller ones, and then I have some bigger ones all together. I also want somewhere to have my keyboard and mouse down the front here, and then I'm going to be putting a spanner, my calipers, and the two spanners to take out the bits from the router. And then I'm just going to fill in the rest with some pockets here and there. So I know that I want to start off with a 50mm border around the outside. I think the way that I want to do it, I'm actually not going to end up with 50mm all the way around, but we'll see how we go. So I'm going to select the rectangle. I'm going to come over to the line type and click construction, and then I'm going to make a rectangle which is 50 by 50, which was already there, but for some reason I decided to replace it. Now that I have that, I can create another rectangle. We'll get rid of the construction lines, and we're going to make this one 18mm wide by 74mm long. Now, keeping in mind that this is actually for the cases that I have, you might need to make adjustments to how long and wide yours are. So I'm going to hit enter with that one, and then we can just click finish sketch for now. I'll zoom in a little bit. So I'll extrude that to -8. And then over here we want to make sure that it says cut for the operation. And click OK. Alright, so now we want to create a grid pattern of these pockets. So we're going to come up here and click on a rectangular pattern. Then we're going to change the type to features and select the pocket. Now we're going to go directions. I want it to go this way and down. And then we're going to go spacing for the distance type. And then we're going to make the distance, so you need to add how much we want between each pocket and the width of the pocket. So 18 plus, say, 9mm between each one will be 27. And how many of these do I want to add in? Let's say 10. No, let's go 12. Oop. 12. Yep, 12 looks good to me. And then we're going to we'll go 3 this way. And then again, we need to add in the length plus 9, so 74. You can also just go 74 plus 74 plus 9 and click OK. And that gives us a grid pattern just like that. So now we have our grid pattern of pockets. Now we want to make some longer. We're going to make some longer ones of these pockets just here because I have some cases that are the same, but the bits are longer, so the cases are a little bit longer. So what we do now is we're going to create a new sketch and select the top, and then we're going to again get so we want to follow the same line across the top. So I'm just going to get a line. We'll go construction line, and we're going to add a 10mm gap between those two and hit enter. So now we're going to go rectangle, get rid of the construction line, and then we can make a rectangle just like we did before. So we're going to go, these ones are actually a little bit thinner, so they're 17 millimeters wide, and they're going to be 92 millimeters long. And we can hit enter for that one and finish the sketch. Now again, this is a lot of repeating of the same process, so we're going to go -8, make sure the operation says cut, click OK, and make another pattern. Okay, so now we have those few there for the longer bits, and now we're going to add in some bigger pockets. Okay, so now we've done that, we're going to add in some pockets. So again, repeat. We're going to create a new sketch, and I'm going to create a couple of pockets, and then we can skip forward a little bit. Now if I hold control when I select multiple rectangles, that'll let me select all three at the same time, and then I can go minus. I'm going to go 20 down for this one, and click cut, OK. Okay, now comes the fun part. So I've taken a few pictures here with, I've got a spanner next to a tape measure, which I always do at the 10 centimeters just because that way I know it's going to be correct. And that's going to tell me how big the spanner should actually be. So if we come back to Fusion 360, and then we go insert canvas, insert from my computer, and we'll click the spanner. And then we just want to click the top face because that's where we want to have it. It's already facing the correct direction, so we click OK. And then what we want to do is we want to come over to the canvas, click on the little arrow here, right click and go calibrate. And then we want to, let's make it so it's the top, zoom in a little bit, and we go to the furthest point of the spanner, which is about here to here. So now we can see that with the tape measure here that it should be roughly about 170-ish. So let's change that to 170 and click enter. So that's going to shrink it down to the correct size. Now we can click on the canvas and we can go edit canvas, and then we can move it to where we want. So I'm going to put the spanner over here. And then click OK. So now we want to go to a new sketch, select the top here, and then we're just going to trace around the spanner. Now, the thing with a spanner is that you don't actually really want to trace it inside these, inside this little section here. You just want to make like a circle because it's just going to be too much of a pain to try and make it fit perfect. And in all honesty, having just a circle on this end is actually going to be beneficial because you can actually use this little opening here to use your finger to pull it out. So I'm just going to select roughly the middle, we'll make a circle that's big enough, about that. Get another circle and we'll put one on this end, should be, about that'll do. And then we'll get some lines and we'll just go like that. Another line here, like that. And then we're going to get the trim tool, and we'll trim out this little section here, and then click finish sketch. Now we can hide that canvas, we don't need that anymore. And we're going to then, let me just rotate this so it's easier to see, and then we can extrude this down, let's say 8 millimeters, that's about deep enough for the spanner, and click OK. So now that we have that spot for the spanner, we're going to come over and I'm going to insert another canvas, and we will do the spanners for the router. So we're going to again enter it into this space, insert that canvas, click OK, and again calibrate, select the longest 2 points, just like that. And this one is about 190 long, so we'll go 190 and hit enter. Now the thing is with this spanner, this is the bigger of the two. The router actually uses 2 spanners. but the little one will fit inside the pocket on top of this one, so I'm not concerned about modeling that one as well. So now we're going to go edit canvas. I actually want this one to be around the other way, so we'll go 180 degrees, and we're going to bring it down roughly about there. Will do, and we'll click OK. Now we're going to create a new sketch on top of that, and we'll trace this one out as well. Now this one I'm going to actually make it a bit more correct to the spanner. What we're going to do is we're going to get some straight lines and in some lines. So we're going to come up here and we're going to create a conic curve, and we'll come down and then we can stretch it to how we want to get the correct shape. So that needs to be moved over a little bit. Put that second point in the wrong spot. Bring it down. How do we want? Like that. Yep. Create another conic curve. Roughly like that. And then we'll get another one. Go down to the point here. Curve it just that little bit. And I am actually going to follow this around. Now we need to keep in mind of how this is actually going to fit. In the point of going inside here is better, because that's going to make the hole bigger and make the spanner fit better. And on the outside you want the lines to be outside, so you want everything to be outside the spanner and nothing over the black. I know there's a little bit here, but I'll fix that up in a minute. And then we're going to keep following this around. And then we'll finish it off with a line. Okay, we can come up here and we can cut this part out, and that gives us the general shape of our spanner. Okay, so there we are. We've got the calipers here, we've got the spanners for the router here, the spanner here for the hold downs, and I've added in a couple of little extra pockets and everything as well. I decided to take out just 5 little pockets here and make one bigger pocket, because that's going to be able to hold my Z probe. Everything else other than this pocket here, which is to hold my keyboard and mouse, is just for whatever. I'll work out what I want to do with that once I actually have the drawer in place and start using it. Okay, so now we have this model. What we want to do is we want to come over to design and click on manufacture. First thing we need to do is create a setup, and the machine doesn't matter. If you have your machine set up in Fusion, you can add it in here. I never do, I just leave it blank. Type is milling, and then I need to set my box point to this bottom corner, and the model is the body. We're going to come over here to stock. We're going to go fixed size box, and it's 780 by 600, and it is 36 millimeters high. The height doesn't really matter because you set your Z probe anyway, and I haven't set anything that's lower than 36 anyway. So we're going to, I need to actually change my X and Y axis, because the way my machine is set up, I Z probe from the bottom left corner, which is to me here, which makes my X origin this way. So the X axis needs to go on this one, the Y axis on here, and for some reason you have decided to run away. We'll bring the box point back, and we need to flip that around. That's correct now. So X this way, Y this way, and my Z up and down. So that's enough for that. We click OK, and then we need to create the actual cutting. So we're going to make a 2D pocket, and this is pretty straightforward. We're going to come into the tools. I have added all my tools into my tool library, as you can see here. I do have a couple more I need to add in, but this is generally what I have. So we're going to go to the 6mm down cut flute and click select. Coolant, we don't have coolant, so that doesn't matter. Feed rate. Now feed rate, I can actually cut up to about 15,000 millimeters per minute. I don't really like that though, so I'm just going to set it to 5,000 because I just think 15,000 is a bit too quick. Geometry. Now for the pocket selections, we're going to select all the pockets. You want to make sure you select the bottom of every single pocket. And I do believe actually someone commented on one of my past videos on a way to select all of these at once, and I have forgotten how. I'm sure if I went back and read the comments I could find it, but I'm lazy and can't be bothered right now. But if you go check out my last video, which will be linked up above right now, then you'll see the comment of what they were talking about. As you'll see, I just selected the wrong spot here, so I'm going to come back and click the red box and then click the little trash can there, and then we select the bottom again. So now that we have all of those selected, we're going to come over to heights. Now heights I don't really touch for a project like this. That's more for different sorts of projects that I've played with in the past and we'll have some videos on shortly, but I don't usually touch them for a project like this. I'm going to come over to passes, and we want to make sure that we're set to multiple depths. Usually you'll have stock to leave selected already, so I usually turn that off because we're just creating pockets. We don't need to leave any material at the bottom. And multiple depths I want to turn on. This is generally turned off as well. And we go 2 millimeters down at a time. I think with my bit I can go down to 3 millimeters at a time. It's too much for what I like, so I just change it to 2 millimeters. And then linking we just leave as is and click OK. Now that's going to create this toolpath, and you can come up here and click simulate. And if we click simulate and slow it down just a little bit and click play, it's going to show you how it's going to cut it all out. You can use this little thing here to change the speed, make it really fast. And we also want to make sure we do this every time we create a toolpath, just to make sure that there's no issues and that it's going to cut correctly. So we can click close over here, and now we need to create the G code. So we're going to right click on here and go post process, click post, and then I have a folder that everything goes into, and we're just going to change it to draw. I like to make it draw bottom, and I also like to add in what bit I'm using, 6mm bit, and then click save. Now I want to open up easel. So we're going to open up easel over here, and then we're going to create new project. Now that we have new projects, we're going to come up here and click on project and click import G code. We'll click browse, and we can go to where the bit is and click draw bottom CNC, draw bottom 6mm bit. That's the one that we just created, and click open. And there we have the cutting path for the CNC. So now we're going to go over to my computer and CNC and create the actual draw bottom. I want to quickly interrupt this video and let you know that all the music used in this video is from a website called Thematic. And if you use a link down in my description, you'll get 1 month for free. And if you do decide to then pay afterwards, I do get a little kickback. I'm not sponsored at all by Thematic. I'm just an affiliate and get a little kickback if you decide to subscribe. Now we're at the CNC with the draw bottom in place. We can just let the CNC do its thing. I've always been intrigued with flocking and decided to give it a go with this draw. I did this for 2 reasons. 1, because I wanted to learn how to do it, and 2, to add a little bit of protection to my tools, including my calipers and any bits that don't have a case. Flocking was really fun and honestly super easy. I bought everything I needed online, which was glue, the flocking material, and a flocking gun. And the process is simple. Apply glue where you want the flocking and then use the gun to apply it. The glue does dry pretty quick, so I had to do this in sections. And this also reminds me of when I was a kid and we used to make art with glue and glitter. I then left this overnight to fully dry and used a leaf blower to blow off the excess. Using a straight edge and a circular saw, I cut the draw to final dimensions as I used a bigger block than needed on the CNC. This way I didn't have to line everything up perfectly on the CNC. I could then install the draw with slides. Now, when I got my CNC, I made a torsion box for it to sit on, with this wing knowing it would house a draw. So I installed the slides in this part before adding the top to the torsion box. I used push to open slides. Now I could sort all of my bits and tools into the drawer, but of course, my mouse does not fit. Well, that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it and hopefully you learned something along the way. Now, I did actually end up getting a slimline mouse, so my drawer does actually close now. And I used push slides. So I just push on the drawer for it to open, which is really handy. And I also made this drawer front. I'm not going to have a video on how I made the drawer front, but I will have a link down below to Beverly's Creations, has a video on doing a drawer front similar to this, which is amazing. An amazing video, and you should definitely check it out if you want to learn how to do something like that. Now, I do have a question for everyone that has stuck around to the end. Should I paint the drawer front or should I leave it with this plywood, exposed plywood front? If you did enjoy the video or learn something, be sure to hit that like button down below. Also hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, because I am going to be having a lot more videos coming out with the Fusion 360 and the CNC. If you want to follow me on social media, I'll have links to that down below. And if you can't get enough of me with my videos, I also have a podcast with the Grant Alexander and Morley Kurt, and I'll have a link to that down below as well. And I'll see you next time.